Good afternoon, class. Today I'll be starting with a new chapter, Chapter 2 from Civics, Basic Feature of the Indian Constitution. In this chapter, we're going to study about the basic feature of the Indian Constitution under the following broad headings: single citizenship, universal adult franchise, fundamental rights and duties, the meaning of directive principle of state policies, welfare state. So the let's begin with the chapter. The Constitution of India resulted from the efforts made by some of the greatest thinkers and leaders of the country. It is a spectacular document of their wishes and hopes for the country and its people. The Constitution of India present the following features which gives in a unique character. So, our Constitution of India, it was first enacted it was first adopted in 26 November 1949, but it was fully come into force in 26 January 1950. So it's the day is celebrated as Republic Day. So the Constitution of India, it's resulted because of the efforts of many leaders and thinkers of the country. Our Constitution of India has come into force, and it is a very spectacular document of their wishes and hopes of the hope of the country, of our leaders and thinkers, which their hopes and thinkers for the country and its and for the people. So the Constitution of India present the following feature, and which also gives as our Constitution gives a very unique character. First topic is inspired by constitution from the countries. The Constitution of India has been drawn our Constitution has been drawn from many sources, from many and different sources. The framers of the um, as our framers of the Constitution borrowed certain features from almost 60 constitution in the world. So our Constitution has many features from almost 60 constitution in the world. So the Government Act of 1935 was the major source of the Indian Constitution and refer to it as the mini constitution. Even some critics refer that our Constitution has boards from many countries and many countries, so it doesn't have any original features. However, our Constitution is a very perfect blend of all the features from the Constitution of other countries. Though we have borrowed features from the other countries, but it has modified and implemented implemented to suit the needs of the people of our country. So therefore our country is a very beautiful patchwork of various sources. Next topic is it has survived for a long period of as I have told before, the Indian Constitution came into force on 26 January 1950. Since then, our Constitution, after the enforcement, the our Constitution has worked well. As our Constitution worked well and continued, and still it continued to survive with great relevance after 60 years of more than 60 years of independence. While some other countries like what is like USSR, Burma, and Pakistan, constitution were made, but they did not last long. But the Indian Constitution Indian Constitution stood in the test of time and survived even today. And it is our duty to abide our Constitution. Next subtopic is the written constitution. The Indian Constitution is our Indian Constitution is a very detailed. It's very detailed and a written constitution. The framers of the Constitution were deeply as the framers of our Constitution, deeply inspired by the parliamentary form of government in Britain, but they did not, though they are inspired by the parliamentary form of government, but they did not borrow the British pattern. But our Indian Constitution did not borrow any British pattern of an unwritten and oral constitution, as Britain has an unwritten and oral constitution. The framers give the country a written and enacted constitution because they feel that the power between the center and the state have to be clearly defined to avoid an ambiguity. Ambiguity means uncertainty, futures. Secondly, the demand of the Constitution Assembly by the nationalist leader and the task of the Constituent Assembly to frame a constitution from the country mean that it must be a written constitution. So the framers gave the country a written and enacted constitution because the framers feel that the power should the power between the center and the state, it should be have clearly defined to avoid any unwanted problem in future. So secondly, the demand of the Constitution Assembly by the nationalist leader and the task of the Constituent Assembly to frame a constitution to the country, that mean that it must be in written constitution. Thirdly, the member of the Constitution Assembly felt that the transfer of power from the British government to be they feel that the transfer of power from the British government to the Indian to the government should be smooth, and all the details relating it must be included in the constitution of for administrative efficiency. So thirdly, the member of the Constituent Assembly feel that the transfer of power from the British Indian government to Indian government, it should be very smooth, and all the details relating to it must be included in the constitution for administrative efficiency. Next topic is, it is the longest and the bulkiest constitution in the world. According to Sir Ivor Jenkins, the Constitution of India it's a very comprehensive and detailed document. So longest is a long and the bulkiest means the large. So according to Sir Ivor Jennings, the Constitution of India is very comprehensive and very detailed document. The Constitution of India, it is the longest document ever framed by free democratic country in the world. So it has when it was framed, it has 395 articles divided into 22 parts and 6 schedules at the time of the commencement. So at present, our Indian constitution has 448 articles in 28 parts, 12 schedules, 5 apprentice, and 98 amendments. The Indian constitution as our Indian constitution is very lengthy and bulky because of the following reason. It is because of this following reason our Indian constitution is it's bulky and lengthy. Because of the following point. Number A, it discuss the power, functions, and relationship between the three organs of the government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Because of this, as the power, function, and relationship between the three organs of the government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Number B, a detailed explanation of the powers of the center, states, and units. It's also give a detailed explanation of the power between the center, the states, and the union territories. Number C point, it's also contain a provision for the backward classes and the Anglo-Indians. Number D, besides as we have fundamental duties and rights, but it's also contain directive principle of state policy, which is found only in the Irish Constitution. Number D, it contain composition and powers not only of the Supreme Court but also of the High Courts and independent bodies like the Election Commission and Finance Commission. So our Constitution it contain composition of and powers not only it only not contains the power of Supreme Court, but it also contains the powers of High Court, independent bodies like Election Commission and Finance Commission. Though this Election Commission and this Finance Commission also have their own powers. The addition of the amendment have also increased the size of the Constitution. So because of the addition of the amendment also increased the size of the Constitution. In your book, you can see the Constitution of India, which is written in Hindi and in English. It's the preamble of India, which is written here in Hindi and in English. So establish India as a sovereign, social, secular, democratic republic. The most prominent feature of the Indian Constitution is the preamble of India. Indian Constitution that act as a preface of the Indian Constitution. So this is the preamble of India, and it's act as a preface of the Indian Constitution, with the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute Indian as into a sovereign socialist secular democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens. So this is the preamble of India. We the people of India having solemnly reserved to Indian constitution said as India is a sovereign socialist secular democratic republic and to secure all its citizens. Justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thoughts, expression, belief and worship, equality of status and the opportunity and to promote among them all. Fraternity assuring the dignity of the Indian and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constitution Assembly, the 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt and enact the and give to ourselves this constitution. So I told before that it was first adopted on 26th November 1949. Next is parliamentary form of government. The Indian Constitution established a parliamentary form of government at the center and the state. The framers adopted a parliamentary form of government because they knew that the system is responsible and it can tackle any form of crisis because there is harmony between the legislative and the executive branches. As India established a parliamentary form of government at the center because the framer adopted this parliamentary form of government because they knew that system is responsible, as this parliamentary form can take any responsible and it can tackle any form of crisis because there is a harmony between the legislative and the executive branches. Moreover, they were inspired by the system of the parliamentary democracy in India. Thus, in India, the president is only a nominal head of the executive. So, thus in India, the president is the nominal head of the executive. The real head is the prime minister and his council of minister. Even the president has to bound to act, as the president cannot take its decision on his own, as the president has to bound to act on the advice of the prime minister and his council of minister. The prime minister and the and his ministers are collectively responsible to the legislature parliament for all their action. So if a vote of no confidence is passed against them, the entire council of minister along with the prime minister has to resign and the government falls. Next is establish a federation with unitary features. As our constitution is not establish a federal polity, but it is not completely a federal like American, but it has a blend of unitary and federal government. So why it is federal? It divides power between the central and the state government through three lists of subjects: union list, state list and concurrent list. Our constitution has divide the power. Our constitution has divide the power between the center between the center and state government through three as we have three lists of subjects: union list, state list and concurrent list. In the concurrent list, the subjects which comes: defense, citizenship, railways, finance, election commission, foreign affairs. So this defense, citizenship, railway, finance, elections, election commission, foreign affairs, this all comes under union list. Next is state list. Under state list, public health, hospital, dispensaries, agriculture, education and research, fisheries, water supply, irrigation, market and fairs, and land relations come. in the concurrent list: education, factories, trade union, electricity, prevention of cruelty to animals, forests, and population controls. All this comes under concurrent list. Next is the constitution is the supreme law of the land. As this the constitution is the supreme law of the land, and it is our duty to abide. It is the duty of every citizen to abide by the constitution. It is a written constitution. There is a Supreme Court of India to settle disputes between the center and the state and to explain the constitution. So there is a Supreme Court of India to settle disputes between the center and to interpret the constitution. Next is unitary feature in the Indian constitution are the following: a strong center which can make law for any state if there is conflict between a union law and a state law. The union law prevails, the center can supersede the authority of the state in normal times as well as during an emergency. They can also alter the name of the boundaries and areas of the state after the name after the alter the name. The state financially depend on the center. So a strong center which can make the law of any state if there is conflict between a union law and a law. So the union law prevails, the center can supersede the authority of the state in normal times, times as well as it can work in not during normal times as well as in the emergency. They can also change the name of the boundaries of any areas of the state. So the state financially, as the state is financially dependent on the state. Number B, during the emergency, the executive and the legislative power of the state can be taken by the center. So during any emergency, the executive and the legislative power of the state can be taken by the center. See, the governor of the state is appointed or dismissed as president. So the governor or the state of a state is appointed or dismissed the president. The constitution provides not only one citizenship, union citizenship, but there is state citizenship in the USA. The quasi-federal character was adopted from the Constitution of India. So the Constitution provides for only one citizenship, union citizenship. So there is no state citizenship in the USA. The quasi-federal character was adopted from the Constitution of India. Quasi means partly. It's partly the federal character adopted from the Constitution of India. In the next class, I'll be discussing about the fundamental rights and duties. So that's all for today. Thank you.